It's the popular hashtag that triggered a social media firestorm, Airbnb while black. Frustrated users of the home sharing site claiming they were refused accommodations because of their skin color. Now facing a class action lawsuit, today the company acknowledging the issue for the first time and pledging to battle discrimination head on. Here's ABC's Sunny Hostin.
Feel at home anywhere.
It's the room and home sharing site whose slogan is belong anywhere. But many users have been feeling anything but welcome.
Being denied because of the way I look, it sucks.
23-year-old Curtina Crittenden ignited a social movement under the hashtag Airbnb while black when she took to Twitter voicing how impossible it was to book a place in Miami for her girlfriend getaway.
Every single message that I got had the worst excuses in the world as to why they weren't accepting me.
Curtina believes she was repeatedly denied by hosts because of the color of her skin. So when she tweaked her profile picture, she says her suspicions were confirmed.
So I changed my name to Tina, and then I put up a photo of a cityscape in Chicago. Once that happened, I never had any issues booking any place on Airbnb.
Users posting hundreds of similar incidents under the hashtag Airbnb while black. Some users claiming to wear their Army uniform just hoping to avoid rejection. Others commissioning their friends to book places for them. And then there was this host in North Carolina, blatantly rejecting a black user with a racist rant of messages, dropping the N-word and adding, "This is the South, darling." Airbnb permanently banned that host, the CEO calling the comments unacceptable.
On a service like Airbnb, where you're not necessarily automatically matched, the person has some discretion about accepting you or rejecting you, it invites the kind of discrimination that we've seen for a long time in accommodations.
But the stakes were raised after this man, Gregory Selden, filed a class action lawsuit against Airbnb. The Virginia user claiming a host rejected him because he's black. A suit that is still pending.
Airbnb a house in the hills or a place in Malibu.
Today, for the first time, the company is formally acknowledging that discrimination is a very real problem on the platform, confronting the issue head on.
I think these complaints have been going on for a while, and the company founders admit that they were slow to respond in a meaningful way.
Now releasing a list of recommendations aimed at fighting discrimination by making photos less prominent on the site, making hosts sign a community commitment, and hiring a team to monitor bad behavior. This is the woman Airbnb has hired to fix it. Former Washington, D.C. ACLU head, Laura Murphy.
This team is being given the latitude to be creative, to come up with ways of detecting discrimination. And I think that this is really an exciting innovation and a paradigm shift for a Silicon Valley company.
This comes at a time when Airbnb's population continues to soar. There are more than 2 million listings worldwide, and over 60 million people have booked spots since it first launched in 2008. The site's popularity attracted new couple Terrence and Victoria when they were looking to book a 3-month European tour. They decided to update their profile picture.
We had become an official couple. She wanted to best represent, us.
They say it was when the couple switched their profile photo from one of Victoria alone to this photo that rejections began to trickle in.
Being a blonde white woman, this isn't something that I come across every day. So he would say to me, I think it's because of the profile picture, maybe you should consider taking it down. And I'm just like, no, that's definitely not it. No, I don't think so.
After suspecting that the photo was indeed the culprit, the couple claims they went on to report a number of hosts to Airbnb for alleged discrimination.
Honestly, it's not our responsibility to figure out how they can achieve that, but it's their responsibility.
Today, the company says they're doing just that.
Airbnb, they feel very strongly that people should feel a sense of belonging anywhere that they travel.
But some say their proposed solutions may not be enough to fight bias among users. A study released earlier this year by Harvard Business School showed that requests made by profiles with what the researchers deemed distinctively black-sounding names got 16% fewer positive responses than names deemed white-sounding.
The internet is not a utopia. It reflects the same sorts of social biases that we see in the real world.
Omar Wasso is a professor at Princeton University focusing on race and technology. Professor Wasso argues that on-demand sites do have the potential to fight discrimination.
They have the data on how people are using their service, and they could use that to surface the sorts of discrimination that is otherwise often quite invisible.
Mobile ride-sharing app Uber has actually taken on that age-old frustration people of color often experience hailing a taxi. We are going to request our Uber. The app's interface makes it harder for drivers to refuse passengers on the basis of their race or their destination. So, Leslie, what information do you get?
Just your address.
Just the address to where you should arrive?
Yeah.
What's nice about what's happening on Uber is that there's no discretion for the driver or the passenger in this kind of instant matchmaking that reduces the amount of discretion where either party could discriminate against the other.
But sites like Airbnb are built on personal information.
People really want to know about you and what your interests are, what you like to do and why you're traveling. So the more information you're willing to divulge, the more likely you are to get booked on Airbnb.
Scott Shadford would know. He's an Airbnb superhost who has made hundreds of thousands renting properties on the site. He says he doesn't discriminate, but notes the screening process can be complicated.
I don't think discrimination on Airbnb is as simple as a black and white issue. Discrimination occurs for many reasons. That could be for gender, for age, for nationality. People don't want to be hosting young bachelor parties.
But he says Airbnb does offer an option to land a rental without getting screened by the host, the instant book button.
That means they can be booked just like a hotel with no pre-booking communication or discrimination possible.
The company is doing a great deal of investment in Instant Book, in part because it's a good business model, but also in part because it really helps intercept the discriminatory conduct that the company has seen.
Earlier today, we checked in with Curtina.
My issue is not with Airbnb as a company. I want companies like Airbnb to understand that diversity is not optional and that the responsibility ultimately lies with them to create environments where racism and discrimination are not tolerated.
Curtina Crittenden says she spoke with Laura Murphy herself.
I would have liked somebody else to reach out to me sooner, but I do still appreciate the effort.
A good first step, she says, but she wants to wait for November 1st when the policy is put into practice. For Nightline, I'm Sunny Hostin in New York City.